can you imagine? I go for auditions for radio, and then I go home, and then I go back to not listening to radio at all because I just thought like, ah. Then I had to switch on the radio, listen to radio, and then they go mentioning like AZOLA VANDA, and I'm telling my mom, Mama, I made it, and my mom was like, made it where?
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. Mandibulise kubantu bonke that are watching us today. We are back again with another banger episode in our podcast, Kasi Stars. And today we are chilling with the one and only Miss V, AZOLA VANDA. Miss V, kunjani?
Oh my goodness, I am well excited to be here. Thank you for the invite as well. So yeah, it's good to be here. Unjani wena?
No, ndiyaphila. And I want to thank you for accepting this invite. This is a podcast, esakhulayo, and in this podcast, we are all about like appreciating and acknowledging, the local talent. By local talent, I mean that like people abasuka kwezindawo sihlala kuzo, who've got a great talent, who are striving towards, to fulfill their dreams. Abasele bephayana phezulu, uyabona. So it's all about that, giving them their flowers, because like sometimes we give abantu their flowers when they are dead, okanye sele bepha phezulu, and we start acknowledging them. So this is all about like appreciating the people of locally by just saying we see you. So you made it to one of the people let's yes about notice that they've got a great talent of and we just want to have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the fact that I'm one of those people not recognized, because sometimes you always doubt the path that you choose. You always sit at home as much as you put yourself out there, but you always doubt by is it what I should be doing? Am I really? So it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Otherwise, if like you can look at yourself now, like can you say like you are at your happiest place?
Oof, no, I could never say that. I remember actually because there was someone on Twitter who had said, when was the last time you were actually really, really happy? And I said, I cannot for the life of me actually remember. So I'm not yet. I don't know what would make me be at my happiest place, but definitely not yet. And I probably will know. You should be happy now because you are at a certain place where you have achieved certain things, or things you have happened in your life. So I wouldn't say I'm at my happiest place, but I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
And I'm glad, like you mentioned, Guti, one of the reasons why, like, you're not happy, it's because awukafiki, to the place where you want to be. And we're going to talk about that later on, If you were to trace yourself, you trace AZOLA, ungathi mhlawumbi, like, where do you come from? Like, khulele khula kwikhaya elinjani?
Oh, I come from a family filled with very strong females. I come from a family that is very grounded in who they are and how we should be and the way we should carry ourselves. ndikhulele kwaGubevu in my younger years, which is Ilali kamakhulu wam, and where my mom also grew up. It's a few minutes away from up at Bishop, about 20 minutes away. And from then on, I moved around a lot. So I think part of me sort of like finding who I am now and what I should be doing in my life came at a later stages, because I didn't settle enough because down. So I would move to AZOLA for 2 years and go to a different school, and then move to Edimbaza, ndifunde esikolweni for 1 year, and then move to another school. So I moved around a lot. So that is my, childhood, sort of like moving up and down and not getting attached to certain places, except for KwaGubevu, because then in my younger years, and where my mom is from, and umakhulu wam, and where when I go back there as well, I'm still remembered by abantu baselalini. So I'm one of those people who's grown up everywhere, but still, rooted in one place. So if you want to find me, ndinxiba amagusha, ndithwele iqhiya, ndibasa, bondikhangela kwaGubevu ngoDisemba or something, ngeholiday.
And how like lately but you really have that stability, ekhuleni kwakho. And I think like it goes with the same nalapha kum, because but unfortunately for me ke ilokishi eyi-one, yabo, khamo sikho laa nto abazali uba ufumaniseke uba kuloo tatakho kulapha, then 2 streets away kukuloo mamakho, so ivele uyotyela iholiday phaa entla njalo njalo, yabo. So I've never had like apho ndithi ndikhulele kwindawo eyi-one, it was all about moving, between these places. Loo nto leyo mhlawumbi ungathi ichaphazele njani, i-childhood yakho, whereby you don't have like la stability, as usitsho uba uhlala i-2 years kwesi sikolo and then you have to move njalo njalo. Ingaba laa nto ibe ne-impact kwi-childhood yakho?
I think when I was a child, it didn't. I don't think I thought about it too much. It was just the way of life, But I think it has affected me as an adult, because I find that I'm one of those people who doesn't really attach myself to people. You'd find that I have friends from all over, but I'm not attached to them in a certain way. I know people from all over wherever I've been, but for me, I'm not as sentimental. I don't have the childhood friends. They grew up with, and then I primary, and then they went to high school together. But they even end up at varsity and they keep up with each other. I didn't have that. And so it's affected me when I'm older, because then I don't latch on to people. If people move on with me, or if I move on, I'm done. I move on. And so it's one of those things, I don't know, it's made me seem uncaring or someone who's able to cut off people very quickly. But as a child, I didn't feel the effects of it. I think it was just moving along and just doing as what your mom is saying and just getting by whichever way it is. So yeah.
Looking at it now, as we cacisa, can you say that is a good or a bad thing?
It has its advantages sometimes, because then you are able to just have that ability to adapt easily, be able to get to know people from different places quicker. You are able to you sort of like have that, I wouldn't say a brave element, but you always have that element of being able to move on quickly. And so just your life keeps on going. So that is the advantage. But I think it has a negative effect, because then, people that latch onto you, they don't feel you are invested in them as they are with you. Because I always find that I have friends who take me as a long-time friend. They've known me for years, wherever we met before, and we had a great connection and a great time. But then once I have moved on, I don't keep in touch, and they always have to keep in touch with me. So I feel like then that's the disadvantage, because then I come across as someone who's just like not as caring as they should be, I think. So yeah, it has its pros and cons.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why, like, on the part of advantages that we have mentioned is because, like, as a child, if you didn't have that stability, you were moving around, you had to adapt very easy. Umzekelo, if uzosuka apha mhlawumbi uyohlala phayana, you have to adapt very easy, like, so that, like, uzokwazi ukufita to whatever area that ohlala kuyo.
Yes.
Would you agree with me ukuthi mhlawumbi okanye were you laa mntana that was always active, ekukhuleni kwakho, abantu abadala bathi mhlawumbi ngumntana oqavileyo?
Yes, I was actually. I loved to play a lot. I was someone who was a dreamer. I was someone who was always, I loved music. I remember my favorite ever, my favorite memory was when Upbrenda Fast was actually performing at a stadium at Busho, and my mom took me there. And so it's one of those memories in childhood that always has stayed with me, because I think I was like looking at the stage and seeing her perform, and I was like, I think I want to do that. This is exciting. So I was a dreamer. I was someone who was excited about things, and I think that's what also made me have that ability to adapt every time we moved around and every time we moved on to a different school. I was always excited by the adventure of meeting new people, getting to a new place, and just seeing how it's gonna go. I was always excited. I was a chameleon in a way, because then I could just move about and do as everybody else is doing and adjust and just do whatever. So yeah, I think I was an exciting child, I believe, after the stories I've heard as well from my father. So I think I was an exciting child. Yeah, I still
And
am.
and and and, and as you mentioned, good, like, you were a dreamer. What has been your dream? Like, what is it that you always dreamt about? Le nto ubuhleli nje uyiphupha, like, you always wanted. Ibiyintoni laa nto that you always, like, uyiphupha?
Listen, the only way I can explain it is I always had this notion in my head that I wanted to be a star. And I also remember, when abazali benu, you're at a certain age, and you have your parents, mhlawumbe all day, and your cousins are around, and they're asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? Ufuna uba yintoni xa umdala? And everyone is just excited, saying, ufuna uba police, and I would always say, I want to be a star. And I think that so confused my parents, especially my mom, because my mom was all about, education and very straightforward, and she was an accountant and this and this and this and this. So to them, it didn't make sense. And so I could never define what the dream was about, but just to say, I want to be a star. I just had a feeling that I needed to be somewhere that's has, the stars, the glitz, the something special, but I could never define it. And I think also that was part of the kind of upbringing I had, that there was no time for them to filter with me, but what does she mean by being a star? What is she interested in? What does she like to do? Does she like to sing? Does she actor? So there was never that time to sort of like mold it and see what it was. So I could never define what the dream was, but I always said I want to be a star. That's it. And I couldn't explain it any further to anyone.
Yeah, and what I like, about this, it's because, like, it seems like kwasekukhuleni kwakho, you never limited yourself to one talent. Like, when you see it, like, you wanted to be a star, it does not limit you, like, to radio, TV and whatever, in whatever space that you want to be in. Ufuna uba sistar kuyo,
Yeah.
besides the
Yeah.
radio, what is it that, like, you do? What is it that you do besides the radio?
Look, um, I do a lot of things now, but even before radio, I was in hospitality for many years, 13 years of my life. I started after high school, and I was working, in restaurants, hotels. I was a events coordinator, wedding coordinator. I even traveled overseas for 2 years to work in hotels as well. So I was in hospitality. And for me, it's sort of like, yeah, linga in a way, because, with hospitality, it's all about, bringing your best foot forward to, to give great service to people, to how do I explain it? Ufunda abantu man, and just learn how to make sure that they're happy. And so it was one of those things that half of my life that I spent in hospitality, as a bar lady and all this. And I thought that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Restaurant manager and all that. So besides radio, it's something that I'm even considering going back to now and just saying, yes, don't. I loved being in hospitality, besides the long hours and everything, but I just loved making sure that wherever I worked, we gave the best service. When you have a customer coming to you and they know you by name, or they come to the restaurant now because they know that you're there and you're going to give them great service, or you're going to make sure that, they get their favorite table and everything. So besides radio, that's what I do. And then obviously get freelancing, voiceovers. People have tried to get me into acting. I don't know if I can act, but I would give it a go. Presenting, MC, facilitator as well for book launches and things like that. So anything for me that has to do with working with people. I'm there within the people, just doing my thing.
Yeah, and I do believe like you'd make a great actor, you know, because you give me this impression that like whatever thing that you do, you give it your all. I've been observing you, and it seems like you are always willing to learn. If I'm climbing
Yeah.
onto here is an acting gig, you'll grab it with both hands and do an amazing work, because whatever thing that like obeka kuyizandla zakho, you give it your best and you are willing to learn. I started to know you, I think when we were doing the breakfast show at TruFM. That's when like
Yeah.
I started to know you and follow you, as a mystery, because I used to enjoy the show. You are saying that you've been in hospitality for about 13 years.
Yeah.
Ijeni yakho ye-radio iqale phi ke ngoku?
Craziest story ever. um, I have never, number one, I never in this growing up, and we discussed how I always said I wanted to be a star. I have never ever in my life ever thought that my voice was different, or my voice could be on radio or anything. It never could, because I couldn't define this whole thing that I was meant to be doing. So radio happened at a time where, after 13 years in hospitality, I had a discussion with my mom, and she said, listen, I think you should go back to school. I already had like a 1-year diploma in public relations already, but I didn't pursue it. So she was like, come back, just do another 3-year diploma in public relations and see where that will take you, because obviously with the hospitality thing, you have to sacrifice a lot of things as well. There's not enough on holidays. Like for me, I don't celebrate holidays because they don't mean anything to me besides being of service to other people. So I came back 3 years later. I had my diploma in public relations. But what happened was I was doing my in-service training in the final year. And then I heard on radio that TruFM was looking for presenters. For some reason, I decided to go and audition. And it happened that the auditions were in Grahamstown. So I went hike to Grahamstown, and for someone who didn't even, I won't even lie, I didn't even listen to radio in the sense that I would say I have, an understanding of what happens behind, the scenes. I have an understanding of what is required for a radio person or anything. Something compelled me to go, and I don't know what it is. So I went for the audition. Even then, my audition, I've just felt like, AZOLA. You don't know what you're doing. But one thing I will always remember, when I walked into that audition room, and there was the panel, obviously the programs manager and everybody else there. I walked in and I greeted them. And one of the guys on the panel was actually looking down, mhlambi webhala something, I don't know what he was busy with. But the moment I said, "Hi guys, how are you?" he literally just went, "Ah." He popped up and he looked, you know? And I remember that after the fact, that, oh my God, he heard my voice and he was like, "Oh, what's going on?" Then I didn't understand it. So fine, I did my audition. I thought I was shocking and terrible and everything else. And then I went back home. Next thing I know, I have one of the girls I was auditioning with, Anfonele. She's like, "Did you see? Did you hear? You've made it to like the finalists." I'm like, "No, man." So I listened to the radio. That, can you imagine? I go for auditions for radio, and then I go home, and then I go back to not listening to radio at all, because I just thought like, ah. Then I had to switch on the radio, listen to radio, and then they go mentioning like AZOLA VANDA. And I'm telling my mom, "Mama, I made it." And my mom was like, "Made it where?" I'm like, "I'm one of the finalists." She was like, "Oh, okay." Because even for her, she never thought of AZOLA as someone who is, So yeah, and then it just started from there, the co-hosting with the presenters from TruFM, and going through the process and the voting stages. It was mad. At all. And then obviously again that eliminated from that after the top 5. So I dropped out of the top 5. Yes. And then obviously, I don't know if everybody else knows the story, but on the evening where they're announcing the winners, I was there. I wasn't gonna go. So my mom says, "No, no, no, you must go, because people are gonna think you're better and everything." I was like, "But no, what's the point?" But she was like, "No, no, you must go." So I went there, and before I left the house, that was Tinje Gemengo Goji, just to give me courage. And I got there, and I was dancing, and I was just having such a good time. And then, the performances were amazing. Everything was just, the atmosphere was just, I can't explain it. Next thing you know, after they've announced the winner, um, then the station manager, Utobeka, Buswana, gets on stage, and then there's an announcement that like there's a special announcement, So everybody's sitting there paying attention. Next thing they're like, "Wow, we're gonna take one more person, and and then I'm just sitting there going, and everyone's like, "Azala Pagamongu." I'm like, "I don't understand. Like, what do you mean?" So I got on stage, and yeah, it was a big, big, big surprise. And then that's where, the crazy, crazy journey began. Then the training, and then getting on radio and working with like the presenters, and working with people that I only saw on TV and never thought in my life of lives I would ever meet. And that's where it started. And then
and yakunceda, la mango coach, because yakunikeza, the vibe, so that you can be noticed phayana bakubone the energy onayo phayana.
Listen, the thing is, I truly believe, and I was having this conversation with my cousin, one of these, I said, I truly believe that the station manager, because I was sitting right across from her, right? But I didn't know her from a bar of soap either. I didn't know who she was. But I was sitting across from her, and I truly believe that she looked at me and she saw this girl who was dancing and just having a blast. And she probably thought, "That's the kind of vibe I want, maybe." I don't know, but I think she literally made her mind up when she saw me that night, because I don't understand how it happened at all. I think one monopower mandimthandi. So yanceda Mango Coach. Cheers to Mango Coach.
Like you are saying that uthe wawungena phayana, at TruFM, that's where like you one network and a band that you always like seeing on TV, njalo njalo. If I recall like correctly,
Yeah.
are you like the first people to appear on TV? You know, there's this trend whereby like radio stations within the SABC, whereby like
Yes.
they go to the Espresso show. You know, are you the first show by
Yeah.
TruFM to appear on the Espresso show?
Look, yes, I want to say we were because I don't recall anybody else having done so. So we were the first ones to actually do it because um, I just saw Radio 2000 doing it as well. I think Mhlobo and then it did it after us.
And when you heard, about the Tuguti, Nizovele TV, Go Express, which is a big show, how did you feel?
Yeah.
And take us to the day before, about Uzovele TV. I'm pretty sure ungalali, picking up your outfit, jalo, makeup. Take us to the day before, like what Uzovela ngayo TV for that show.
You know, I remember the morning off. I don't recall the night before because Safik and I think we were tired from traveling. Um, and I went straight to bed because Nandi Asba, I have to wake up really early because I do my own makeup. So I woke up really, really early that time. I remember by 5 a.m. I was ready, full makeup, face on, and everything. I think I just worried about, doing the show as authentically as we were doing if we were in studio by ourselves, with Deluxe. Because, now, there's this element of there's other people that you don't know and who are really good at what they do. Like, oh, Katleho, guys, come on. About Pulapul TruFM are super, super supportive. And you don't want to let them down as well, So you want them to be proud. So I didn't think too much about it, but I wanted to make sure that I put my best foot forward. And also, you also think of the opportunities that come from that. So you always want to be ready and sure. Maybe they might pick you and say, actually, we liked you. How about you come back and do something on SABC TV? You never know. You never know. But it was a great experience, great opportunity. And I couldn't have done it with anybody else but Deluxe. He was one of my favorite co-hosts, anchors I could have co-hosted with. So it was a great experience though.
Wahlala iminyaka emingaphi, at TruFM, and how many shows like did you do besides the breakfast show?
I was there for 3 years. And I started with Uziko on the NMB 9 till 12. And then I moved to the breakfast show with Brian Devu. And then from there, when he left for Algoa, I moved to 12 till 3 with True Sense. And then back to breakfast with Deluxe. Yes. So I think I did all the primetime slots except for the drive. Yeah. And I like in my head, I was telling myself, one of these days I want to get to drive, and co-host with someone who's really, really great as well. So yeah, I did most of the 9 till 5 shows. No, 6 till 5. There was a times in the no 5 to
65.
6, 5, 6. Yes. So I did that except for the drive. Great experience for someone who's
Right.
never been on radio, ever.
Exactly. Especially like being on the weekday shows, like it's a great thing. And how did you find out that you want to be part of the new lineup? Yase TruFM. Because that changes against Nzwayo. Like, how did you find out?
Um, with the breakfast show, because I was doing 9 to 12 with Uziko, and then with the breakfast show, I got called into the office before my show with Uziko, and I was like told in the office about, okay, I think the following month you're gonna be moving to breakfast, and I was like, okay. And so it was always like that. You always get told beforehand. You get called into the office, and then okay, these are the changes that are happening. And I think as exciting as it was, all these changes, you were also grateful that you still had a job, and you were grateful that they thought that you would fit into this type of slot, and also I think it showed also how they felt like you were a versatile person to fit into different slots and do different things, especially that during the weekdays and prime time. So it was always being called to the office and being told by Ike, Gail, this is what's happening. I remember when they told me that I'm moving to breakfast and they called me into the office, there was the programs manager, the station manager, and the marketing manager. And they called me and they told me, okay, so you're going to be doing breakfast and your money is going to go up. I remember jumping up off my chair and going, yes, Gail. And I'm saying this to the station manager. And everyone was like, huh? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I just got super excited because I did not even expect it, because every time you get called to the office, you worry about, oh, teach, I wonder, what did I do? What's wrong? But it was just one of those crazy, unexpected announcements that I got. So by the time I went to do the show with Uzika, I knew already. I remember running down the passage, like, my sister, I was like, listen, Dakshiya, I'm going. Yeah. So good memories. Huh? Good memories.
Yeah, it's good memories, and I remember reading something like, maybe the word forever, was supposed to be used for memories instead of abantu, because people don't
Yeah.
last forever, but memories they do, So now all you have like is memories. And you just mentioned that like you just hope that one day you will do like the drive, Is there some we hope that you will be back on radio?
Sure. See, um, it's pretty tough in this industry because you don't decide yourself, when you'll be back or if you'll ever be back, or you can try so many times to get in, and try to get back into the space. So for me, I would love to get back to radio. I love radio. I've tried to join other stations as well, but obviously sometimes they're too far from me and financially it's not making sense, and sometimes you do online but it doesn't give you that feeling of being live on air and and being in studio. So I would love to get back to radio, but it's not an easy industry to get back into. So you just keep on doing your thing and working hard, and you never know. I saw the likes of Dineo Ranaka going back to radio after a long time not being on radio. The likes of Sol Pinduka now being back on, doing a breakfast show. Come on, after years being off radio as well. So there's a lot of encouragement when you see such things. You always say there's a possibility. Anything is possible, but it's not up to me. Someone has to fall in love with me, or maybe someone has to hear me somewhere, or if there's a presenter search, I just have to put myself out there, and hopefully they like what they hear, and they take me on. But there's a lot of talent out there, guys. It's not an easy industry to be in. There's a lot of talent. People are super talented, and you might be good, but the other person might just have that little inch over you. So I don't know, unless I open my own radio station, then it's guaranteed to drive.
Yeah, and a lot of people like are saying that out of all the industries as Goyo,
Yeah.
radio is one difficult industry, and they like to use the concept like it's very close, industry value where that is not easy to get into. Would you agree with this statement?
Yeah, I truly do agree with that. As magical as radio is, it's still very closed. I find that in South Africa, um, opportunities for new talent um, are few and far between. You know, if you hit that sweet spot once, it might not come again. And also, I feel like we are a very conservative country, or we use our conservativeness to keep things closed and stagnant, in the sense that you find that there are broadcasters we love to death, but you always wish that they would just take a moment and give other kids a break, so that we can also have an opportunity to have a very long term, career, or a very long term, time, developing yourself and growing and all these things. And so it sometimes it feels like you can even compare it to, I hope this doesn't get me into trouble. You can even compare it to, the political parties, where we're always complaining about the ministers, that how old they are and when will they retire, and the members of parliament, when will they retire. And you feel like it's time. Give us an opportunity, give us a break. I also want to say, I was doing this for 10 years or 20 years, but the opportunities are few and far between, and you can only do so much. I think one of the things that really frustrated me about the industry is that regardless of how talented you are, you making it sometimes is only dependent on a person. And it's sad, because then it means that if a certain person doesn't see you for who you are, or where you could be, or doesn't want to have that moment to take you on board and have you grow and mature and become, the ultimate broadcaster, or the ultimate whatever it is, then sorry for you, you'll always be swimming upstream but nothing happening. So the dependency on one individual or two people deciding if they like you or not, for me, is the saddest part about the whole industry, basically.
Mm. And I once saw a tweet, that says, like, in today's world, it's not about who you know, it's not about what you know, it's all about who knows you, in the table where people decide, kuxhomekeke ukuthi ngubani okwaziyo wena. If people don't know you, they don't give a damn about your talent, they don't give a damn about your qualification, they pick and get people that they know. And that's an unfortunate thing, about radio. And I think more especially, with our province, because when you look at ezinye like the provinces, radio is not so bad as like here in the Eastern Cape, because you will find ukuthi there's umzekelo, in Gauteng, so many radio stations, regional, community, and all of them, like, they're doing well, and you'll find ukuthi abantu mhlawumbi, from here, they move to those places, whereas we also do have our regional stations, we also do have our community radio stations, but into mhlawumbi into le ndiphosakalayo, in your own observation.
Funny enough, I was having a conversation with someone about community radio stations, and the conclusion we came up with is that community radio stations are not run by people who might have experience in the industry. So basically, anybody seems to be able to be, running a community radio station, meaning that then the foundations are not there to groom the talent there. The foundations are not there to understand that this radio station is supposed to, besides serving the community, but also be a tool that could build, groom, grow talent, and also stand on its own, even make the money, pay these people, and literally be a powerhouse on its own. So what happens is now with radio stations as Koyo, especially community, because there's a lot of community radio stations in the Eastern Cape, but the reason why they're not flourishing is that guys, let's work, let's do this, let's grow, let's groom ourselves. Even the station Bisho, let me make sure that it's the best community radio station ever. Let me make sure that I meet the standards of the radio stations around. Let me try and get to a point where xa kuthethwa nge-radio stations kuthiwa ibhisho community radio station, they're doing their thing. So it goes from the management to everybody else that works there. So that's the main issue, because we have the stations. It's just that as coolly, as developy, and it's literally people who just are part of the radio station because maybe it's cool, I don't know. And I've heard a lot of stories as well of abantu who work in radio stations, the kids being exploited, getting to the point where abantwana, they're supposed to get a little stipend to get to and from the radio stations, but for money and all that. So it seems to have a lot of, and abuse, but there's a lot of exploitation that happens as well. So I call cohesive. I said, if you go to Joburg and you work for a community radio station, at least you have a feel, but I'm in the industry, it's not like you guys are just playing around. You are in the industry there. And some radio stations are recognized, even though they are community or they're regional or anything, because they work at it. They want to make sure they have the best, radio DJs, and they understand as well, but they will groom their talent to get to a point from that little radio station. It's at Radio 2000. Now it's at Jacaranda FM. Now it's at Metro FM, coming from those small roots. That's why it's in the Eastern Cape. That's why I'll probably go for an audition in Joburg. But in Tibet, was a community radio station. I said Joburg from a varsity radio station, because they were taking everything seriously, from the management to everyone. They were taking it as this is a serious thing that we're doing here, besides just being on the airwaves and just, because radio is a powerful medium, and a lot of South Africans, millions of South Africans, they still depend on it for information, for entertainment, for a lot of things. And so until we take it seriously, Tina, from management to everybody else that works in that community radio station, askazoyanda. And that's sad. Siyaphosa.
And I think another thing that is so sad, is that you'll find a good team. Most of the community radios, they are full of people that are so hungry, for opportunities, people that are so hungry, for growth, people that are so hungry for success, who want to be the next big things, in radio. Hence, some of them won't even notice, the exploitation, because they are just grateful for the opportunity, bajonge phayana phezulu, bafuna ubheka phezulu, and it's not easy to get on top, And now recently, there's a great debate, about celebrities who do not have experience, radio, who are given big platforms, whereas you've got people who are in your community radios, who are so talented, who are so passionate about your radio, who can do better job, but it doesn't matter how talented you are, how qualified you are for the job. It's all about who needs you. Do you think maybe with the direction like that radio is taking now, more especially the bigger stations of taking celebrities who do not have a background in radio, ingaba mhlawumbi ine-impact ethini loo nto on i-radio on its own xa sowujongile wena?
Look, what I've noticed with people complaining a lot is this whole idea now of getting people with lots of followers and who are seen as influencers and to be, on this broadcasting platform. Babe mhlawumbe umuntu engana experience or anything like that. I would not mind it if someone is, has unearthed a talent in themselves because of being an influencer. So let's say I've got 10 million followers and then I just happen to get an opportunity. And then somehow I realize, actually, you know what? I love this, I can do it, and I take it seriously. Then you go with it, obviously. Then you get your credentials from there. But the issue is then people just floating on the fact that they're influencers and they've got numbers and then they get on radio. Meaning that bavalela ke ngoku abantu have the talent to be on radio. And I also feel like it has the dynamics of what a radio presenter is have changed. And so that's why Mhlambi, there's room now for influencers and there's less room for radio people. I want to call them radio people because these are the people who live and breathe radio, who understand, um, when I'm behind that mic, this is how I'm supposed to, be sending my message through to the listeners. This is how I'm supposed to be interacting with them. This is how I'm supposed to be grabbing their attention. And so it's tough. I would not want to hate on anyone who's managed to get on, a platform because of they got an opportunity because of who they are or how many followers or the influence that they have. But if then the talent is there as well and they've managed to get on that platform because of the circumstance that they've got, it's okay. And end of the day, Nyanik, as you said, we can't all be at the top. Sadly enough, we won't all reach the pinnacle. Sometimes you always wonder if it's just the chosen few to make it. I don't know. But it's a tough one. Listeners are always listening and complaining. I don't know if they are heard by the powers that be that listen, we really need to get back to base now. We need to get back to where we're getting broadcasters, who we can connect with instead of influencers. Right? But kudos to those influencers. Listen, if I had an opportunity to be anyway on any platform because of my following or whatever, try ndawungena ndawufunda phambili umsebenzi.
Yeah, and let's just hope like la 5K yakho iphayana ku-Twitter will get you somewhere.
Listen. This is why I'm saying that I cannot blame sometimes, put the blame on influencers when they get those opportunities because I find social media is just the craziest place, but it's also a place where it's able to break down those walls and cut those red tapes and give you an opportunity. For instance, when I do these presenter search things, these auditions, and I upload a video, and on TikTok it gets 8,000 views and 400 likes and everything, then you're like, wow. It means then you start thinking it means that it could get to the people that it needs to get to. So you can't hate the social media because then it sort of like pushes you in a certain way. So even when you get the 5K followers on Twitter, you're like, okay, so how can I use this now to get me somewhere? How can I try and drive this now to try and get me to a certain place? I don't know if I have to be an influencer. I don't know how to influence. I don't know what content is required. But it's always exciting when people follow you for you and for what you do. Then obviously if that brings an opportunity, I'm good. I'll be very happy. Very happy.
Speaking about the auditions, the presenter search and whatever, I think someone who follows you will know that like you've tried like all opportunities as we like, you've auditioned for like whatever opportunity. If Umoja Love is looking for a presenter, you audition. If SABC3 is looking, you audition. Like wherever you audition, you apply for jobs and whatever. Where do you get the energy and the motivation like to keep trying? Because like Abaraba needs they just give it like one shot, and then ingalungi, and then like no, but I ain't because I'm one of those people. I get frustrated, when I audition for something and not get, because I don't know whether I believe in myself too much, when I apply for a job and not get it, like it frustrates me. It messes me around, but I've seen you like keeping on trying. Where do you get the energy and the motivation?
Two things. For me, my biggest motivation first is my children, my kids. Just showing them and having them see me push forward regardless of the rejections and the nays and all that, just for me to show them, that if you want something, you don't give up, you just keep on going regardless. And if I'm disappointed by something, it's like, oh, I gave it a try, right? You thought I did okay, right? And they'll be like, yeah, mom, you deserved it. I'm like, oh, well, someone else got it, so it's okay. We'll try again next time. So my kids are my biggest motivation. Another thing for me is twofold. It's watching myself grow, because I remember seeing an audition I did for Espresso a few years, I think in 2019. And then I looked at my audition I did this year for Espresso, and I saw the growth from that point to this point. So for me, that's exciting. And then the other side of it is the fear of not living to my full potential. I sometimes I am awake, go 3, 4 in the morning, just thinking of, wow, am I running out of time? Am I going to be able to, fulfill all these things that I feel like I should be living? Will I be able to get to a point where my children see me succeed after they see me always trying and trying and trying all the time? So it's my biggest part is biggest it's failure. I don't want to fail, and I'm growing in it, so I'm enjoying that experience. And then also just having my kids walk with me through that journey, and them also learning that you don't get things easily. I, you know, I remember I was almost at a point of giving up. And then I realized, but AZOLA, but in the broadcasting space, you've only been around for a short space of time. If you listen to the likes of Steve Harvey, if you listened to, Oprah, if you listen to, what is his name now? He's so hot. Man, I'm like, oh, this actor, man, he's an English actor, Idris Alba, and all these other people who have made it. And they always share their stories of how, they only made it when they reached their 30s or their 40s, or, they'd gotten to a point where, they were just going to do whatever just to survive. Then boom, that opportunity came and it took them, to another level they never expected. So I always try to keep that in mind, but you haven't been in this industry for that long, and you are growing every day, and every time you audition, there's something that you're growing, there's confidence in you that is growing. You are getting to a level where there's going to get a point where someone will not ignore you. So that keeps me motivated, because I'm also a perfectionist. I kick myself every time I don't make it, because I'm like, and I watch it, I'm like, I should have done this and I should have done that. That means there's growth. Then when next time I audition something else, and then I make it to the top 16, I'm like, wow, that's a big deal, So those are the 3 things. Did I say 2 things? 2 main things, and then the other one is just like fear of failure. But my kids,
yeah, and I love that. I think that like it's high time, it's been abandoned now, so that's of mana, that motivation by Denzelanina Badonaba.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It is the biggest pressure you will ever experience in your life, because you don't want to fail them. You don't want to. You don't want to hold yourself back at the same time. You want to be you, but then you have these little people who look up to you and need to survive and need you to mold them. And so it's always difficult, because then you want, that you want your moment, you want your time, you want to, but then you have people who are doing grade 12 and doing grade 6, and who need your attention and who need you to help them to go to ballet and modeling and do this and go watch the netball. Meanwhile, you're like, but what about me? I need to go home and record an audition. And so it's, I wouldn't advise anybody. I even tell my daughter, I'm like, you need to get to a point where you've reached, the dream or whatever it is that you want to do. Then have a little one if you must. But Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure being a parent and still trying to get that. So hold on with that baby. Plus, babies are very expensive, so don't do it. Not now.
Yeah, Andy Bambi. For someone like who doesn't like stop trying, you know, someone who keeps on, doing. I'm pretty sure there is something that you see. What's your perfect world? You know, despite everything eyenzakalayo ngoku, around you and in the world, but what is it that you see? What's your perfect world? Ilizwe lakho, like when you vision and dream, lime kanjani?
Sure. It's it's doing what I love every day because then it means that I won't be working too hard. I'll just be refining myself and at that point also giving myself to people, it's giving my children a comfortable life. It's Azola just being Azola and doing whatever she wants whenever she wants. It's a stable, comfortable life. I don't even want to be a slay queen, but I just want to be comfortable. I want to be able to choose what I do when I do it. I want to be able to spread myself to a point where I'm like, oh, I can do a podcast, I can do this and I can do that. Oh, it's not stressful. Oh, it's not, and not even worry about money, not even worry about money. So my perfect world, it would be a comfortable, secure life for me and my kids, and doing what I love, and that bringing lots and lots of money.
Yeah, I see. And nothing beats like doing what you love. Doing what you're passionate about. Because I always
Yeah.
preach that, like, with everything in Zakalayo, the highest rate of depression, like in mental health that is not stable. One thing is to wake up, and do a job that you do not love, do a job that you do not enjoy, and people don't understand like how peaceful it is to do something that you are so passionate about. I remember,
Yeah.
when I was still in radio, um, as I was in the studio, it's like I'm in another world. You know, I forget about everything. The peace
Yeah.
that comes, with being in studio, doing what you love. So it's very important, like, to do what you love. Zintoni izinto ngoku ozenzayo. You've mentioned good, like you do voiceovers, MCs, facilitating, njalo njalo. What are you busy with now? Yintoni ngoku ozenzayo? I think you have a podcast esaqalayo. If that's true, you can tell us about that also.
Yeah, look, I'm moving into the podcast world as well. It's been a long time coming because I had a lot of people tell me this is what you need to do. You need to, move into podcasting because, it's the platform now that people are gravitating towards. And I finally was brave enough to start this year. But you know, once you get into a new space, there's so many things that you are learning as you are going, and there's challenges that you need to overcome and do things like that. So the podcast is called Behind the Hustle, and basically it's I would say it's almost the same dynamic as yours, because for me I was fascinated by the people around me. One of my friends, Mkanyisa Charlie, and she's known as the entertainment queen of East London, King Williamstown, Ginsberg, Dimbaza area, the Eastern Cape. She's growing into it, and knowing her personally and her struggles, and then when you see her when she's hosting an event and you just see her just become a different person. For me, that was so fascinating. I also have a friend, he's a chef, and he's been working. I would meet him one year, and he was working with different people, and then when I see him again, he's doing something else with other people, and be like, "Yo, if I tell you the story of what happened the last time we saw each other, don't." So also he had his challenges and everything that has to go with him, being successful in what he's doing. So I thought it would be encouraging. It would be something that can motivate other young people who are really trying to break through, especially in the Eastern Cape. So, someone who never thought that they could be a chef, but there's a young man who's doing the most. And also, what fascinates me is the stories behind that, what it took for them, the things that have happened to them. Some people are dealing with gender-based violence in their lives and they managed to get away with their lives. And abanye, they moved to Cape Town thinking that they're going to make money, and then broke, things like that, until they get to a certain point. So that's what fascinated me. And I thought it would be great to just start around the Eastern Cape and speak to the people I see, even on my social media. I'm fascinated to find out about them and what keeps them going and the support that they're getting, and why do they even get to a point where they wanted to start something. So that's the podcast. Technical issues happening. It's a learning curve, and getting people to actually work with you and believe in you as well without getting paid. Because once you start, without a budget, so the challenges are there. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that it will build, and we post our first episode, and then from there we'll just carry on. Um, Other things, I do voiceovers. So if anyone wants to do a voiceover for their products or anything like that, I'm ready to go. You just give me a brief and you tell me what you need. I actually, one time I had a contract with a company in the UK, and it happened that they sent me a script, say Afrikaans. And for some reason, because I wanted the money, I thought, I went to school, say Afrikaans, I can do this, it's okay. And I was like, I can do both. I did not tell them, but hey, I got the script. Yo, dismal fail, lost that contract. So you also learn when you don't oversell yourself, do what you can, and also then just tell yourself that you will learn, and make sure that if that opportunity comes by again, at least was good. But imagine doing a medical script in Afrikaans, and yeah, your Afrikaans is also, it's only Afrikaans you can understand. Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
facilitator, MC. Eh?
I'm saying Afrikaans like it's a language lula. It's not easy at all.
It's not a playground. And I thought I could do it. So I learned a lesson there. Yeah, and then I do, I work sometimes with the Steve Biko Center as well. So if they have a book launch, I'm there, facilitating those book launches. And it was something that I never ever thought I would do, but it so happened that the day that I was recording my podcast with one of my guests, Ukanyisa, the one of the managers, the Steve Migosenda, came running to Kanyisa and saying, I don't have someone who's going to be program director for my book launch this evening. And she was like, hi, Bo, here's Azola. Come, you guys talk, discuss. And that's how I started. I was scared because I didn't know what vibe they were looking for. But I did it. And from then on, it just gets better and better. Yeah, I'll MC your wedding to hell and back. I'll MC your pageant to hell and back. And yeah, I keep busy. I call myself a freelancer. I used to say I'm unemployed when people ask me. And now I moved on from being unemployed to freelancer, because then I'm able to get into spaces. And if you need me, man, I'm there.
La nona yasenext isene crash kuwe okanye yaphela yonke lona.
Wow. I have no idea. And I don't care. I was very upset. So I have days where I greet him, and there's days I don't greet him because I was just like, I can't. I just could not understand what happened there. But no, I don't know. I don't care. I don't care.
Like what was frustrating about the whole thing, it only everyone's about Yogaland.
Oyekhula phambi kwam lo mntu, this is like a kid oyekhula phambi kwam. And also I think because I have an adult child, for me, it just, I'm like, what? Why? And for me to think that he looks at me that way, guys, no, 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 no. I was very upset. I'm like, Chin, every time I go jogging, and look boy, I'm like, ha, no. So I didn't find it flattering at all, at all, at all. I didn't. Still, it still upsets
Uh,
me actually.
how did you find out? Because whenever like I see like people that are in a relationship, and when you look at the age gap, like it's so huge, and you just wonder about, okay, I'm trying to challenge how did you find out ukuthi the boy yalapha next door and crash?
He sent me an inbox. He inboxed me, and we're not even friends on Facebook. He sent me an inbox. It makes me angry. He sent me an inbox, and he said, "What?" He said he loves me. Damn it! I blocked him. I said, and then I blocked him. Listen, I have nothing wrong with. I have nothing wrong with age gaps. I would probably say that I've had my best relationships with guys who are younger than me, probably like 2 3 years younger, and all that, but not a child. Haibo, a child. Ha. So now what how will I explain that to my 19-year-old son, when the bra who's just across the road from him is no, guys, no, there's limitations. No, no.
No, I totally get you.
And
Do
he's
you believe in love? Do you believe in love? You know, and can you
I
say you're a
love
lover?
love. I love love. I believe in love. I'm always falling in love. If you check my posts sometimes on Facebook, I call myself a catchist because I'm very quick to fall in love. Um, and it's not even about giving me presents or money. It's if you give me attention, chances are I will fall in love with you very quickly. You just have to have a conversation with me. You just have to make me feel some type of way. So I do believe in love. Um, but my biggest fear is not finding a lifetime partner. It doesn't have to be marriage or anything, but not finding a lifetime partner in my old age. I remember I was saying to someone, my biggest fear is at 55 years old or 60 years old, I'm talking about a boyfriend. I want to talk about a partner. I want to talk about someone, I'm sharing my life with and, experiencing a cruise together, going to holidays and, things like that. But, oh, I love love. I'm a sucker for love, man. Give me a nice boy with a nice
Ukhona
attitude. I'm there.
ukhona umkhetheleyo ngoku as we
Oh,
catchist.
since I catch every other month, but yes, there is someone who's caught my attention. Yeah, there is someone who's caught my
Nah, nah,
attention.
nah. I'm proud. I'm proud and happy for you. Um, last thing, man. I want you. In fact, I want us to manifest. You know,
Yeah,
I am a fan of a manifestation. And for
yeah,
me, it goes beyond. Uposta makandlela, on Facebook, the 11 thing, it
yeah.
goes beyond that, because I do believe that we have the power, to speak things into existence. I want to grant
Mm,
you an opportunity, to manifest, one thing that you want God to do for you. Landy, you are that you always pray about it like wholeheartedly. You know, I want you to speak life to that. I want you to manifest Glondole so that like God can see you. You know, I once said on an interview that I had here, Uguti, if like words, you know, are failing you in terms of like ukuchaza le nto uyifunayo, you know,
Yeah.
may God like look through your heart, you know, and see ukuthi what are your heart desires, you know, because sometimes we do not have the art, you know, to actually utter, you know, the perfect words, you know, for izinto esizicelayo. So I'm handing you that opportunity now to make that manifestation.
I think I'm one of those people who is at the point where they're not able to express. There was a time where I could not even pray anymore, you know, because I was just so dejected, so disappointed in how things were not moving on. So funny you should talk about this manifestation because I was saying to my kids, we need to get to a point where um, sometime before the end of this month, we need to have vision boards, and we need to outline and say exactly what we want to see happening to our lives, you know, in the next 5 years, maybe, or whatever. So it's a project that I'm working on. I am someone who has not been able to express what I want, you know, from God, from the universe, because of the disappointments. And so I always say, God knows my heart. And even when I speak to my kids or even God, I'll be cooking and I'll be like, yo, I'm fit, defeating, you know, I've learned the lessons. I know what I will do with what you have given me when the time comes. Just speed it up now. So I'm truly, truly manifesting success. I am manifesting that God um, hands me my heart's desires. I am manifesting that, you know, when I get the opportunity, I take it to even, you know, higher levels than I could even imagine. Um, I manifest that, you know, my talent speaks for itself. And AZOLA VANDA is not just AZOLA VANDA from Ebushu, it's just AZOLA VANDA from South Africa, you know, wherever she goes. Um, but I'll work on those vision boards and I'll definitely be able to have a proper conversation with God now and the universe and just say, listen, I've written it down now. This is where I need to go. This is where what needs to happen. This is where I see myself in 5 years' time. You know, I want to be having a conversation with you again. And, you know, we are sitting on a different level. You know, we're talking about different things. You know, we are reminiscing about today and the things we did then, but we are on a different plane. Um, and I think that's about as far as I can take it at the moment, you know, because at the rate things are going, you take it day by day. You know, you take the hard knocks with 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 grace and move on. And you look at God and you say, do you see ba let disappointment, bra God, tate with grace, with humbleness, tate with the understanding that you've got something bigger that's coming my way. Did you see? You saw almost. I understand that you're working in your own time. And so, yeah, that's it. You know, he better come through, man. He must come through. He must.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I got a choice, by the way. You know, kufuneka
Yeah.
yenzekile le nto, ethanda engathandi,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, the sad thing about life, you know, and everything is that like you don't know where you're gonna like hit like guy one and then everything, you know, falls into place. you know. You're just gonna keep trying up until you know that perfect moment, and you never know ukuthi hayi ngoku sendizofika, you know, I'm close, because uthi sokucinga fanele uyibambile, you know, uvele ungayazi uba iphungcuke. But all I can say is that, like, do not give up on your dreams, you know. Do not give up on your dreams. They're waiting for the perfect moment, like, to come through, you know. We see your efforts, you know, not only us, you know, but I think noThixo naye, you know, uyayibona imizamo yakho, and at the end of the day, yonke le nto, like, it will, you know, pay off, you know, as a teacher, like the Bible, that when the time is right, you know, God will make like everything to happen. So thank you so much for your time, man. This has been the best, you know. I really enjoyed it, and I wish you all the best, man. Masipope, you know, izinto zonke zihamba ngolawulo.
Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for inviting me. It's always humbling, you know, because when you have conversations with people who are in the same space and who also have the, you know, similar dreams, and they're also pushing their own thing, it inspires you in a way. Then, so I am truly humbled. I wish you all the best with the podcast. Sizodibana podcast awards, you know, and we're going to be celebrating these efforts. And you know, we'll be thankful to the people who have supported, you know, through the struggles, and who have supported you to, you know, get to a certain point. So, you know, congratulations, keep it going, keep it moving. Kuzokwenzeka.
Yeah, man, I want you to start also, you know. I wanna follow your podcast, you know, because we have to start, you know. We have to start. We have to stop, like, ube contemplate, you know, trying ukucinga, siya procrastinator ngapha. Like, we just have to start, you know, just have to start, and then everything in the like izozenzekela.
Look, it's a true test. With the podcasting space, I come to an inspiration Django McG. And I remember Namba Bisngan McG. And I was like, what's going on? What is all this? And I was like, oh my gosh, I've had people tell me to start a podcast a long time ago. Nankumto, who's actually done it. And then I went back to his first episode. And, you know, there was no perfection there. There was no perfect lighting, no perfect sound or anything like that. But he started. And that's, besides the success that he's got now, for me, it was the fact that he actually started. And look where he is now. So in any space, I guess you just have to start and then just keep on doing your thing. Ungabhekabheki futhi uzikhomparishe abantwini or ubani wenzani or anything like that. So yeah, and let's just keep on inspiring each other, guys, as well, you know, and keep on motivating each other and encouraging each other as well. The love now I've received on social media has been amazing. You're not looking for abantu babaku praise, but sometimes that little nudge, a little validation, or a little acknowledgement by, hey, we see you, and hey, well, you are talented, and yeah, Kuba, you know, eventually something's going to happen. It plays a big deal, Kuba, because then by the time you hit that level, it means that you are catering to people who've believed in you since the day you started saying, good evening, South Africa, AZOLA, you know? So yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep encouraging other and getting inspired by other people as well.
Yep. Musvi, enkosi kakhulu, siyabulela.
Thank you so much. Lodo lo Miss V, akadani aphume kum. After TruFM, I told myself I'm gonna stop being called Miss V. And I was like, I'm AZOLA VANDA. And then I remember on my birthday, people were like, happy birthday, Miss V. I was like, you guys really are stuck on this Miss V. But I've accepted it.
Akaphinda aphume.
It is what it is.
Thank you.
I give up.